part. Alright. So guys, for this particular thing, I'm just starting with Python programming language. The base, I'm making it very clear. We are using a Ubuntu base platform. You can use any platform, any Linux based, even Windows also. But as discussed yesterday, the future is like related to Linux, so we are using here. And the Python version, we are focusing especially on Python 3, right? So people who have maybe a Red Hat in their operating system, they don't have Python 3 in Red Hat by default. So any other distribution like Ubuntu you have, so you can install this. So I'm going to use this particular platform for practical thing. Let me check the Python version. So I'm using Python 2.7 and Python 3 is like Python 3.5. Alright. So Python 3.5 for everything, right? So 3.5 here, and people who don't have their Python in their operating system, they can install Python from the website, that is python.org and python.org/downloads. So this is the one from where you can get the Python latest 2 version, and accordingly you can install it in your operating system. Alright, so now okay, Pavarta is saying is like you cannot hear my voice. Is it, I mean, the same thing happening to everyone, or it's, I mean, people, you can hear my voice, right? It's fine. Okay, that's cool. So please check at your end, because if others can, then why you cannot? Okay. So basically you can go for python.org to download this particular version. Make sure, and one more thing, for installing any new software or new thing, you can use pip to install Python libraries. Like pip is nothing, it's a Python installer for operating system. So like any operating system software management, we have Python installer for it. So it was built in Python language itself. So that means, let's say if I want to install some library of Python, then simply with the root account of your own operating system. So it doesn't matter by what operating system you have. So you can use this to install any library. Let's say I'm installing here NumPy. So any library, any module you want to install, you can use from this particular place. Okay. So because I'm assuming that everybody is familiar with a particular basic part of Python programming language, so I'm installing my first session with how to install module, and especially for modules. Okay. So now if you talk about Python, then we have pip for Python 2 and pip3 for Python 2. It's for Python 2 and this is for Python 3. So pip is very much similar to Linux yum, if you are familiar with, or Ubuntu apt. That means when you want to install any library or software of Python related packages, you can always use pip install something like I am using. So it's very simple, right? So let's cross check this. Did I have NumPy module in my system or not? Yes, I have. If I don't have this module, I can install it like pip install numpy. Alright, so it's basically installer of your particular software, right? Now, as the point is, for people who really are not familiar with Python thing, so I'm going to cover overview from Python basic, you can say, or pre-requirement. Okay, prerequisite. The first part we are covering, that is Python general programming, how you can write the program. And as soon as we are going to cover this, we are going to discuss some interview related questions, so that you can like generalize your thing yourself to a particular category, right? So Python 3, the general thing is like Python is the language which can be used as an interpreter and as a compiler as well, right? So it's the language can be used as an interpreter, compiler, and sometimes as a scripting language also. And even it depends on you completely, because we have Python 2 and Python 3 in the market, so we are especially focusing on Python 3. So it is more like close to the scripting, and Python 2 is also scripting language. It's more close to the interpreter because of object oriented nature. And of course this is platform independent. It's very dynamic language, right? So I'll show you that it's very much familiar with Raspberry Pi as well, as I promised yesterday. Dynamic means you can use with any technology, like with big data Hadoop, with hacking, or with any particular topic, right? We do have some very specific module like Python Django and Python Flask. This is only for introduction purpose. These are actually web development framework, right? That means if you want to build your any application or web pages where database connectivity everything is going to maintain, so Django and Flask, these are two frameworks of Python, which is like both are really popular. And Jython is the good one for the people who really want to integrate their Java code with Python programming language, so it's also beneficial for them. And the people who really love .NET, so they can use Iron Python with their .NET framework, right? And people who love C language, you can integrate your C Python with your C lang. So that means like this we have number of options and code. By the end of session I'll show you some test cases, and I'll also prepare a question paper for you people to appear from your own place. All right, so we have this thing kind of, right? The most important thing about Python is it is like all the searching engine like torrent or Google background, they are built on top of Python to search it fastly, very, right? And the containers technology, the name number of things like Ansible also, it is built on top of Python programming language. So these are few examples you can use for your interview purpose. What are the technologies name which are built on top of Python? Alright, so we are going to like launch the very first thing, that is variable. For a quick revision, people who don't know about this, So in variable, there is no importance of variable in Python programming language, but how we can assign these variables to Python? We can simply check here. So if I'm launching Python 3 on this particular point, Python 3, so simply the variable name and the value, what I want, the variable name and the value, and simply the variable name, the value, whatever value you want to assign. And you can do it like this. It's like okay, C comma D comma E is equals to 4 comma 5 comma 8 comma 4. So it's pretty simple. And because we are using Python 3, so we need to use print function to print it back, right? And similarly it's for D, so it's 5. And if in this particular place we are using Python 2, so the same thing you can use, but the way we are going to print here is like this. Even in some particular version we can use this parenthesis as well, that's not a problem, but yes, there is. So but this method you cannot use in Python 3. So if I'm using like X, so it is going to raise an syntax error. So make sure that you are using print with parenthesis. Alright, so now this is how. And one more thing I want to show in Python 2, as I suggested, if I am using this variable, I want to check the type of this particular variable. So it's type, you can check it like this. So it's integer, that means the data type. The second thing, in this particular point, if you want to check on Python 3, so the big difference you can analyze here the variable value is a type, but here the variable value is a class, right? So if you remember why I told you that Python 3 is one of the programming language that is 100% object oriented, right? That means if you are defining a variable in Python 3, then this variable is going to be a class. Like an example, you can check here, this is Python 2, and here also it's Python 3. So everything, every element, everything is a class in Python version 3, right? So I don't know how familiar you are with class specifically, but yes, this is something, the difference we have in Python 2 and Python 3. And if I'm writing a code, right, so let me make it very easy for you. So ultimately I'm using this particular directory map Python 3, and people who want to code in their file, so for Python 3 you need to just write this. So I'm using file name by the extension of py. It doesn't really matter that you are using .py extension or not with your file name. So it's not like .python extension is not mandatory, right? So it's up to you. Generally we should choose this, nothing apart from this, nothing else. Okay, so as I'm opening this with my text editor, and make sure when you code in Python programming language, you should use these two keywords, that is #, followed by USR, bin, env, and Python 3. It's not compulsory actually, but You need to use this. The way we are doing here that is showing that we are providing one environment of Python version 3 to the code whatever we are going to write here, right? And this is the way you can use the similar thing in Windows if you are doing Python programming there, and Linux as well as even Mac also. So the way we have defined here is like this. Make sure that we have space here, at least one space, not more than one, right? And the sign we have started like has an exclamation, right, is generally known as hashbang for interview purpose, or shebang. So people, you can call it like either hashbang or shebang, the combination of hash and exclamation, right? In between the session, if anybody like have any doubt or question, please feel free to ask. So that's a really very common part, right? So now I'm writing here, I'm taking input. Make sure whatever we are using, we are making it comment also. So to take input from a user, and to take input from a user, there is a function in Python that is input, and we are like typing here, type anything. It's very simple code, and I'm storing this into a variable like, let's say, user underscore input, and then we are like printing the type of that variable and the value of that variable, right? So it's all done. Now if I want to run this particular program, what I need to do, I need to go to my again this particular part under this folder, and here we are going to do Python 3 space day1.py. So I'm entering like DevOps session, and it's the class is string and the output. Now we don't really need the extension anymore, so we can replace it like by txt. And now if I'm running this like day1 dot txt, so okay, cool. So this is the way how you can run this thing in Python programming language. Now if you see this, there is complexity. I mean, all time I'm making a file, then saving it back, then opening terminal and making it like Python space file name. So it's all like a bit lengthy process, right? So rather than this, you can use PyCharm. That is very much, I mean, amazing and ultimate Python based library or IDE. But now if you are not listening, then this is going to be like tough for you. That means in production environment, right, in project or production environment, production means people who are building the products, nobody using text file, right? Nobody uses text file to code. All right, so what they are using, so number one choice is generally they have either any IDE like we discussed yesterday about PyCharm, or maybe Spider also. But here we are going to use another library, right? That is going to be used by us for the whole session, and that IDE is like Jupyter notebook. All right, so we are going to use this particular for these all particular session. Now people, please don't be confused. This is only for the simplicity of writing code. That means here we will write code, here we will run. We don't need to save this every time in file, then close the file, then what we are doing right now, we are just going here, making a file, writing code, then saving it back, then closing the text editor, and then running that by opening Python terminal. So rather than doing this lengthy process, we are going to use Jupyter Notebook. Before installing anything, before any more like introduction about Jupyter Notebook, let me show you how it is working. Then I'll teach you how to install it on your own system, right? So how to use it, it's very important, and I'm really expecting that everybody have their own laptop installed with Ubuntu or with Red Hat. So yes, Chetan, we can write the code anywhere, that's not a problem. All right, even I'll show you some interpreter as well. So if I want to use Jupyter Notebook, so I'm going to like Jupyter Notebook. So it will start with a server where I can log in, and I can just create one directory, like one folder, and that can be like Untitled or something. So I'm going particular for you in my desktop, and here is the Python 3. Now here I'm going to create a new file in Python 3, right? So it will open like this. I can name it like hello.py or simply hello, rename it. So it's very simple. Now you can write here, run here. So for example, I'm assigning a variable x, another variable y, like 20, and another variable z. It's like this. Now I'm printing back. You can also use the functions as well, z. If I want to run this particular part, there's option of running, it's run. Otherwise you can use shift enter to run this particular part, right? And whatever we have written here, it is very much like efficient, clear. I can come here. Now I want to replace swap the value in Python. It's very simple. I can swap the values in Python like this. X comma y is equals to y comma x. Now if I print x and if I print y, it's going to be like swap. So x will be 10, x will be 20, I'm sorry, and the y will be 10. So I'm selecting this particular domain and running. See, the x is 20 now and y is 10 now. Here y was 20. So like this is the swap of two values. All right, so it's very simple. You can just click in this box and run it. All right, so this is what the Jupyter Notebook is. Now I can give you the access of Jupyter Notebook from anywhere to anywhere. That means it's a server actually that is hosted by my own system, and you can just go here and use it, right? It's very simple. So write the code, run here. it's very simple than writing code in file, then closing file, then again coming back to the terminal, write Python and something. So it's like very lengthy. How you people are going to install this Jupyter notebook to code? Because why we are using, so in future we are going to learn how to manage graphs, how to manage graphical programming in Python. So it will help you out to show each and every output here. That means, let me show you something. I mean, we have number of libraries, and let's say if I'm using here matplotlib, it's not for right now, .pyplot as plt, right? So I'm just showing you why this is important. You don't need to understand this thing as of now, right? I'm using x is equals to, as of now, let's say 3, 4, 5, 8 and 2, and y is equals to maybe x1 and y1, sec 4, 6, 2, 4 and 9, right? So plt dot plot x1 comma y1 and plt dot show. So plotting this, I'm running this particular code. So when you go for this particular thing, in generally we need to analyze some graphical part, so we can draw here the plots which will be coming out of this box. That means if you plot anything like this in Jupyter notebook, you can send the same result to any other people who is coding right now in anywhere in this world. Right? The output can be sent directly to the target people. So that's the point, right? Now how you are going to install this? So it's very simple at all for any operating system. I'll prefer Ubuntu people to install this, and to install this you can use like pip install followed by Jupyter, like notebook, the complete one, Jupyter. So if I open the terminal and going to my root account, make sure you have root access in your Linux machine. So it's pip install or maybe pip3 install Jupyter and Jupyter-notebook, right? So in case of like you have some problem or you face some problem, you can go to google.com, installing Jupyter notebook in, let's say, Ubuntu, right? So the very first block you can follow, and you can come here, you can read more about it, and this is the real method is this one, the only this method. The rest thing it will install automatically. It's pip install Jupyter only. So you can search it according to your operating system. Red Hat people can also go for this, right? So you'll find number of methods, and even Windows people also can do this. I know I never use this in Windows, so you can use this basically for anything, right? Now the benefit of Jupyter you will see in future of the scenario, and how we are going to use it for production environment and for integration purpose. So as you can see here, we are using Jupyter Notebook. We have discussed very much basic thing about Python programming language, and we are writing code under Jupyter Notebook, right? And we have learned this program how to swap two numbers like this. And now there is a question which I'm like it's question for all you people. You can like solve it. The question is, when I'm running a Python code like Python followed by file name, right? So maximum languages, like means the 99% of the languages in this world generally run or compile one file at a time, right? That means if I have GCC compiler in C language, I have one file, let's say a.c, b.c and c.c. I cannot compile all these files in a single time. I need to go here first, then here first, then here. So that means we need to compile the file one by one. Similarly, we can run file one by one. But my point is, can you find any method in Python programming language which can run multiple file in a single time? That means it's like this: Python space file 1, file 2, file 3 and so on. So it's file 1, file 2 and file 3. So I want the interpreter must be executing only one time, and we can run number of files here. So I mean, if you are able to solve this question, you can. Okay, Nikita, please mute audio setting. So I mean, whoever like unmuted yourself, please mute yourself, because I mean, if it is disturbing for others, then it's not good for. Okay. I see asking for can you repeat the question? Okay. Okay, so the question is that means let me take one example. Right now I'm using my Python code like here. So what I'm having one file day1.txt. Let me move it to day1.py. Fine. So now what I'm doing, I'm making a copy of this file. I'm assuming that everybody is familiar with basic Linux. So now I have two files here. I have written the only thing, that is hello world. All right, it's hello world. So if I show you the graphical view, I have two files, day1.py and day2.py. Now my question is, if I want to run or compile those all the files in a single time. So if I hit enter, it is going to run only the first. It is not going to run the second, third or so on. So my point is, can you find any method which is really able to run more than one file, or maybe able to compile more than one file in any programming language like C or Python or something, right? So it's the question. I think everybody got that question. All right, I can just expect a yes message from max the people. You got the question, right? Okay, that's great. So this was the first question. That's great, Deepak. Okay, so this was the first point, and you need to like try to code everything in Jupyter notebook. Now because we have discussed the thing, now in Python I'm going to discuss little bit string, because it is going to help you in future. So string is nothing, it's like a collection of more than one or more characters in under single or double quotes, right? So for Python, string is really, amazing entity for this particular language. So I'm commenting here again, string in Python, right? Comment. Now if I'm taking a variable, let's say s, and writing everything under single or double quotes, hello world, this is ad hoc networks, right? Now I have done this. If I want to like check the length of this string, so printing length, you can do it like by len function. So I'm using print, and to print the length of string you can use len of s, right? Inside any code, if you want to print, you can use print statement. Okay, now if I want to like search anything, so let me run this, sorry. So I'm just running this, and the length of the string is 34. Now if I want to search something inside string, then let's say I want to search, it's like ad hoc, so I can use it like this, ad hoc in s. It's true, right? So it's the last thing. Okay, so true and false. And even if I want to like break this string down into all these words, I can use s dot split. So it will break this down string, break down string using space by default, right? So if I run this, see, now the string is like is splitted by the space. And if you want to like split it on behalf of some particular word or character, let's for example I want to split this on behalf of L, right? So I can put here L, and if I run this, see, it's HE, then space, then something. So by default you don't need anything, it's by the way taking space, but if you want to like put anything here, it is going to split it like this. So we don't need to like define blank space here, otherwise it is going to raise an error. So it is very much similar to this. Alright, now very simple. If I want to like replace something, for example, now I'm commenting this, right? I want to replace word with new thing. Okay, so the thing is like s dot replace and what you want to replace. I want to replace word with people. Right, so the first point, I want to replace word with the people. So it's very simple, right? I'm going to run this. So what happened? Hello people, this is ad hoc networks, but there is no change in the original string. That means after this, if I'll print s like this, if I'll print s, so there is no change. Alright, so s is like hello world, this is ad hoc networks, but I'm using this, I'm commenting this still and running it again. See, ad hoc, but there is no change in s. So it is actually replacing thing and printing back. So I can store the changes in a new variable, let's say s1. Right, now I can print s1 also. So if I run this, the s is hello world, this is ad hoc networks, and the s1 is this. So that means if you are going to assign some string values to a variable, so if you replace some time the value with some variable or some value, it is not going to affect the original one. The nature of this rigidness in Python data types, right, is known as immutability. Right, so any type of like integer or string, maybe float, and one more is like tuple, all these are immutable. That means if you assign this variable with a value 100, and for example we got some memory location, let's say 12964, some memory location, right, in our RAM. So till the program is running, you cannot replace 100 with this memory location. You cannot replace 100 with this particular memory location. This nature of data types in Python programming language is known as immutable. So these are immutable type, which are immute, right? So it doesn't matter you have an integer, string, float, and tuple, all these are immutable. I guess you got the point of immutability, everybody, right? And what is mutability? If I have variable x, I have value 10, and let's say we have memory location of 10 in Python is 29376. If I'll replace 10 with new data, let's say 900, on the same memory location, so this kind of data types property is known as mutable. Alright, that means the examples, if I'll check with you people, the list, dictionary, and sets. These are three data types in Python programming language. You can use all these as a mutable. So is this point is perfectly clear for everyone? Okay, the code I'm showing you, but is this point is everybody? Yeah, Deepak, it's very much similar to Java, right? So I mean the concept of immutability and mutability is okay for everybody, right? Yes. So the code is like to replace this particular thing, and the good point is like you can copy this code and like copy this code and go to your file. If you try to make here the paste, so it's very simple, right? So you can simply copy paste the code and even the desired part, right? So it's, I think it is clear, perfect. So now so we have done with the replace function. Now the next point is like string indexing, right? String indexing, that means if I want to like let me open the new one. Fine, here is, now we are starting with string indexing, right? If I'm having this variable, let's say x, and here hello world, then the meaning of indexing is like you can draw the axis, the x1 and the y. You're starting from 0, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. When I'm writing x is equals to hello, for example, it is going to store it in this particular manner, right? So the first one is on 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, and it's x. So for example, if I want to pick the second location value, so it is going to be like L, right? So this particular feature of string in Python is known as indexing, right? So I'm using print to grab the third value. Third means fourth, right? Because we are starting from 0, so third means fourth. So if I'll hit this or run, it is like 0, 1, 2, 3, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. It's like this. And now if you want the range, for example, I want from 0 to third, so you can write it like this, starting from 0, and range is for column. Third means you want till this. So if you write this, that means whatever value we have at this particular location, it is not going to print. That means we find only 0, 1, 2, not the third one, right? If you check this, like I'm printing x from 0 to 3, right? So it's 0, 1, 2. So that means the element you are going to write in the last is not going to print back. Okay, now you can just have this also. Here is -1 and the -2 and the -3, -4 and so on. So you can replace this, you can pick all these characters and you can shift left, so the O will be here, L will be here, L will be here, E will be here, alright, and H will not be moved anywhere. So if I'll do this x of -1, it is going to print O, alright. So if I'm doing x of -1, okay, x of -1, so because here we have D in the last, so it must be D. Yeah, it's D. Alright, So this is how you can like analyze the string manipulation. Okay, now some more thing about string. If you want to like take help in Python, let's say x dot. So if you like hit tab button, we have all the features here. So if I hit enter, so what just happened, capitalize, it will capitalize the first character. If I'll call this the first one, right? So we have number of variables. You want to check everything, you can just go for dir of string. If you hit enter, you're going to have all these variables which you can use here, right? So this is how like we can use this. Now in 2 minutes max, I'm going to tell you the tuple and list, right? The tuple and the list, because tuple is something that is very much similar to array in C language, right? So you can write it like this: x is equals to 1 comma 9 comma 3 comma 16. So it will be like tuple, right? And because we have 4 element here, so whatever memory location we have in this tuple, we cannot exceed number of element from 4 to any number, because the tuple is really immutable. All right, so this is how we can manage the tuple. So I'm going to like, okay, print this back. I'm not going to, fine, so run this. So now time for tuple that is very similar to array in C, right? So it's the x, or maybe a is equals to like, you can write in parenthesis, otherwise you can write in normal, right? Because we can assign the different type of data also. So this is the feature of like tuple. So it's very much similar to array as well, and it's very much similar to structure as well in C language, right? So if I print this, yes, and if I print the type of the data, so it's okay, sorry, so yeah, it's tuple. So this is like the tuple thing, we can use this. Okay, so tuple is very simple, like it is also, the storage mechanism of tuple is very much simple to string. The first element is going to store here, then here, then here, then here. It's very much similar to the string. Now I'm going to like write here, if I'm like, if I want to print this, so like a of 1 means the 5, right, the 5. So, and similar, the range is also going to work like this, see, alright. So it's very much similar to the tuple. Now, because of this particular type of Python programming, you already know that we are discussing very basic, so I'm announcing one test exam, right? Test exam on Python basics with some ranking scenario. Let me check the calendar. So by this Sunday we have 18. Okay, all right. So this Sunday at night, the same time 9:30 p.m. we have one exam that is scheduled by me. Okay, and that will be the practical plus multiple choice, right? Okay, practical plus multiple choice. The exam's topic will be very basic again, and it will be good for me if you will be able to clear the exam. Data types and of some point of like conditional statement. It's very simple, right? And some basic questions with variables and some facts. All right, so the topic 1 or 2 we can add here. It's like the problem statement judgment, problem statement, and the interesting part will be dead code removal, right? So you can Google it, because the freedom you have in this exam is Google. So you can Google it about this topic if you want. And the exam will be like Sunday around 9:30 p.m. right? And I have some surprise for you on behalf of this exam, and I'll upload the same thing on many places, and the question will be like from very different companies. And one more announcement, because I'm traveling to somewhere by this for this particular week, so our next session will be on Monday, right? So due to some reason I'm traveling somewhere. Okay, so next session will be on Monday, and the Sunday will we have this exam, right? Maybe I have some important announcement on this Sunday, but the next session we have on Monday, right? So I think if you have any question regarding that or exams, please feel free to. Not exactly, Deepak, just because I have discussed the types, the variable, few problem statement you need to Google, and few what is dead code removal you need to Google. That is that. Definitely after the exam I will explain that topic also, but the exam will be something like few part by me and few part by you, right? Because you have the freedom of using Google. Yes, so I'll be like sharing this the link with your mail, the YouTube channel of Ad Hoc Networks. So I'll be sharing very first time for all of you people. Let me stop the recording first. So I guess it's